Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers midweek podcast with myself and Kenny. Usual Wednesday berth, although the times come and go to suit, basically, don't they, Kenny? But good to
Yeah,
have you here, mate.
yeah, you too, mate. I hope your day's going well. Just sitting here making a curry for my dinner, so we Thai curry. I'll pass you some along if you fancy.
That actually sounds all right. What am I doing today? Not a lot. I'm not expecting much news today. Although it would be lovely if we did get some breaking news. But yesterday we did get that breaking news confirmation. Myself and David Hurd were on this time yesterday, more or less, with the news that Rangers have finally completed the deal for Jerry Gaseimov from Sheffield Wednesday, a 4-year deal, rumoured to be anywhere between 2 and 2.5 million. I seen Sky Sports say it was 2.2 million. But Kenny, give us your thoughts on it. Obviously, David and I kind of went through it and spoke about it yesterday, but I am, for one, I feel a lot happier about an actual way. I'm pleased about the bounce game result yesterday because it didn't mean very much, but it's given me a wee lift, and I'm certainly pleased with the Gassama arrival.
Absolutely. We've been crying out for white players. That's one in the door, and apparently we're looking at another couple to try and get them in. The situation with the lad, it took a long time to get it over the line, really, but we all understand the chaos that's going on down at Sheffield Wednesday, and I would really love to see them sort that out and perhaps get new owners, because we ourselves, we've been there, mate, with dodgy owners, and it's a horrible situation to find yourself in, and it's a big club going through some really bad times, and I wish them all the best. Unfortunately for them, we seem to have got this kid on a bit of a steal, haven't we? Because going by their fans, this boy's worth a lot more than the 2.2 or 2.5 million that we've paid for him. Most of them seem to think it's at least double that, perhaps 3 times that, with potential to, the ceiling could go through the roof, basically, isn't it? That's the kind of hint that they're giving us. They seem absolutely gutted to be losing the kid. And listen, welcome to Rangers, and go and smash it, lad, because I'm really quite excited about him. I can't pretend that I've seen huge amounts of him, Stevie, because at Sheffield Wednesday were a club that I didn't see much of. But going by everything about him, from the kind of grounding he has, the training he started at PSG, didn't he? And, that's some academy to come through and graduate through. And listen, I can only really be honestly excited about this kid, because by all accounts, he is a very tidy player, and the potential is just massive. So let's see what the boy brings. But yeah, I'm like you, totally delighted to see white players coming in now, because it's been clearly needed.
Yeah, absolutely has. There was a post put up on the Follow Fulham fan forum that David put up on our chat this morning. So it's from a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and I'm going to read bits of it out just because that gives you an idea of their opinion of him, which I think is always helpful. He's a fairly small guy, nothing wrong with that, but very fast, became very aware of his surroundings, and was much quicker to release the ball and pass it as time went on. Has some skill and swagger, plays with a smile on his face, and is very humble and laid back. There is plenty of room for growth in his game, and I hope you'll get that out of him. Last season, he pretty much played every game and displayed an impressive work rate, as well as consistently tracking back and working hard out of possession. I would not stereotype this guy as one of those tricky wingers with a few skills, poor work rate. He's the opposite of that. Not afraid to cut inside, playing close quarters under pressure in the middle or of the pitch, or go down the wing. He has a very good attitude. He might need time to adapt to a new club, which has big pressures and expectations, but he's certainly capable. So that's promising, Kenny. And that was, he said as well that when Danny Roll came in, Gassama levelled up. Very good coach behind him. That's positive. And, you contrast it to how we would maybe talk about some of our players leaving. This is a boy they didn't want to sell, but unfortunately, with their situation, find themselves in it. They robbed us of Reece McCabe some time ago, and we've returned the favour, I think, a wee bit here by going to swoop for this boy.
Yeah, and again, it's that's all cracking to hear. It's all nice to hear, and as I said, but all you need to do is go on Twitter or go onto their forums, mate, and you'll see they are genuinely gutted to lose this boy, and particularly for the price that we've managed to get him for. As you said, you talked about the Danny Roll and them levelling up with a good coach. What I noticed more about that was that he was much more willing to track back, does a lot of work for the team, which is exactly what he's going to have to do up here. And I would be really looking forward to seeing what he brings on the left-hand side. At this minute in time, the left-back berth is up for grabs, really. But that left wing now, I would expect him to kind of cement his position there. And as I say, I can only look at what that post on Follow is brilliant, because it's articulated really well, isn't it, that the boy has managed to progress in the 2 years that he's been at Sheffield Wednesday, and the situation that he's going to find himself in here, that it might take him a little bit of time to settle into his surroundings. However, I've just got a funny feeling that this kid's going to grasp that opportunity, because the talent is clearly there. And he hinted at in his interview that his Rangers TV interview, that he was really keen on working with this manager. You know, that this is a style of play that he really likes. So we can only just look forward to it, mate, and see what he brings. He's a young boy with, as I say, in danger of repeating myself again, but with bags of potential, and the pace is something that we've been crying out for, because this kid has got bags and bags of pace to burn, and an exciting player.
Big thanks to Donna McKinnon, who became a YouTube member. Thank you. And has just sent me a message telling me how to give out some free ones. So next question I ask Kenny, while you're answering that, I'm going to go and see if I can give out some free memberships for everybody as well. So don't bank on it, because you know what I'm like, but we'll certainly give it a go. What I wanted to talk to you about, Kenny, though, is we were at the Bruges game and we both discussed we had a lack of conviction. There was a lack of trickery. There was a lack of excitement throughout the team. And it's a work in progress. So there's no criticism here from me in the slightest, because I understand that we're having to do bits and pieces at a time. We cannot sell and sign, 30 players in the transfer window. So we have to prioritise and get things. Now it seems to be that we're moving on to the kind of final bits of that, which, perhaps the wingers and forward positions. So I am delighted with this boy, because I can't say I'm a massive knowledge of him. We've seen the clips, we've read the reports, which gives you the hope. And I am really excited. But here's my thing. We still need another one. I need another winger in there, because with Cortez and with the young fella in there as well, Finlay, are players that you could rely on. Now, we know that Tello Asgard can also play wide left, and we'll talk about that in the Bows game, because that's exactly where he played. But we can, there is options, but I still feel like we need one more. That'll bring Kieran Dowell into the conversation in a wee bit, but I think we need a natural wide player for the other side. Now, Gaseimov can play both sides, predominantly left-sided, I believe, and he can play both sides. So if you get another guy on the other side, we have that threat coming down both sides, then that to me is exciting. And I think that's absolutely where we need to go. So I'm all aboard getting one more. And they have been linked with quite a few, haven't they? So that's my hope. One more for me, winger-wise, and I'll be quite excited about the prospects and attacking options we're getting to develop.
Yeah, we've been linked with a few for sure. And Raksaki at Crystal Palace is one that won't go away. By all accounts, that interest is real, and we're genuinely looking at trying to secure that boy. Sam Edozie is another one that Russell Martin's worked with. The lad Kamara at Hull City is also one that we've been linked with as well. So it's quite clear that we're looking for more. And as I mentioned the other night there, mate, the simple fact is that what we're looking at is that pace that those wingers are going to bring. We need pace up front. We've been struggling for a lack of pace for a couple of seasons, and at least Kevin Thelwell and Russell Martin and Dan Purdy have identified that we really do need pace, and particularly on those flanks. And for me, it's a kind of case of we've got to be patient with this, because that when you're hearing some of the interviews with these guys, they're saying that they've heard of the interest quite a while back, and their interest, Rangers' interest has been going on for quite a while. So we're not hearing much of anything. Names are getting leaked, or names aren't getting leaked. Names are coming out, but that's probably on the player side or whatever. Can you excuse me, Stevie? A delivery's just arrived. Give me 2 seconds.
Is it Avon here, mate? On you go. Right, Kenny warned me before we start that he was due his delivery, and we were laughing because last time he did this, everybody was in the comments suggesting what he might be getting delivered, but I'm not going to do that. What I would like to do in the interim is thank Largy True Blues, who's managed to gift 5 Four Lads Had a Dream Rangers podcast membership, and thank friend of the show as well, Kimberly Neal, for her really kind donation today. We don't ask for that. We really, really appreciate it, though. That helps us do the things that we want to do. So really, really, really appreciated. Kimberly, thank you. And Kimberly, by the way, is somebody that's always very supportive of the channel, as is everybody who comes in and comments and things. So thank you very much. Hope you're having a really nice day. Kenny, is that you? Are you free now of all deliveries?
No, that was just a postman, mate. The delivery might come yet.
So you were right about we have been linked with quite a few. Raksaki is the one that I'm quite keen on. I really like him. I also like the boy Abu Kamara, who we've been linked with as well from Hull. So these are options. I understand, obviously, they might be loan deals. But if we could get another one in, I think that would make a world of difference, as I said. So I think we are short. Now, I don't want to go down the route of being critical and slating people, but I don't fancy the idea of Kieran Dowell on wide right. So it seems to me the manager spoke about him being in the leadership group. I actually seen him in a meeting down south when we were there. Him, James Tavernier, John Suter, and Liam Kelly were in a kind of a meeting after training. So that was interesting. And the rest of the boys were kind of playing pool and working and working out and doing all sorts. So they were in, and I found that quite interesting. And Russell Martin actually spoke to us about it as well. So I am not here to write off anyone, because everyone starts with a fresh page under the manager. But I am not for Kieran Dowell starting a wide right. So that leads me to my kind of point of being that I think we need one more. If you got Cortez, you got this boy Gaseimov, you got one more in Curtis. I'm happy with that, to kind of repeat myself a wee bit, but we do need one more. How likely do you think it is, Kenny? And if they got that other winger, can you see the jigsaw starting to get nearer to completion then? How many more would you think, or would you want after that?
I think there will be at least one other one come in. I would hope that it'll come in before the Panathinaikos game. However, in terms of the jigsaw, it's beginning to take shape, Stevie. There's rumour of we're looking at another centre half, more wingers coming in. I think the number 9 situation is a kind of simple one, where you look at it and we have 3 already. Do we want another one? Yeah, probably. But are we actually sitting there saying, right, well, we need one to go out before we bring one in? I don't know. But in terms of the rebuild, you could look at the keeper. We've been rumoured with another keeper. Left backs, we've been rumoured with left back. Midfield looks great. Wingers, as I say, we've just mentioned, in the number 9 situation. If you look at it from the tail end of last season and the rebuild that we had and the players that we've lost out of contract, and a few others that are surplus to requirements, you're not going to do this all in one window, Stevie. You can't get it all done. However, I would say that I'm actually quite impressed with. Well done, Stevie. I'm actually quite impressed with the amount of work that has been done in terms of bringing players in. But this rebuild can only go so far when you can't get players out the door. We need, if we're being blunt, we need another 6, 7, 8 of the players that are clearly surplus to requirements to leave. And the quicker that happens, the better, because it would allow us to sit there and get ourselves into a situation where we can look at potential signings. And that's where I kind of see it at the minute. We've got a cat going nuts. You've got a dog, I've got a cat, we've got doors going. It is what it is. But yeah, it's just one of these things, mate, that I've got to say I am quite impressed with the amount of work that we've done already. But there's plenty still to go.
Just shows we're live, folks, when there's cats and dogs and doors and all sorts going. But we love it. At least it's authentic, that's for sure. I have managed to gift 5 Four Lads of the Dream podcast memberships, and also our really good friend of the show, Bluebells Are Blue, has gifted 10 Four Lads of the Dream Rangers podcast memberships. So there is 15 up for grabs. All you do is click on them up the top. That gives you a chance to sample what the membership is like, the additional shows that are available. And hopefully that gives you a wee insight into it, and then hopefully you stay once that's over with. There is 500 strong members, which we absolutely love. You get extra shows every week, so thank you. Bluebells are he's such a massive supporter of the channel. I'm actually hoping to get him on soon. I really want him to come on in favourites and things like that.
Definitely, yeah.
Hopefully that will happen soon. Once we get the podders done, we're going to get everybody on, but I'm really hopeful that Bluebells will come on soon and we can get that done. And then maybe you can invite us out to that nice pub where he lives as well. That would be lovely. We're happy to do a show out there, mate. But moving on a wee bit, Rangers did play Dunfermline in a bounce game yesterday afternoon. I'm just going to bring up the team and things like that. I did post it online. Now, I'd said on the pod the other evening, I wasn't quite sure. I didn't want to say for definite because it wasn't. Rangers don't confirm these kind of things. It was a behind closed doors friendly match. And they don't want reporting from it. They don't really want anything. But I was fairly sure they played yesterday. Likewise, they'll play Hamilton again at the end of the week. So the team yesterday that started the game was Butland, Tavernier, Aarons, Suter and Giga, Rothwell, Raskin, Diamande, Tello Asgard, Kieran Dowell and Danilo. Rangers won 4-1. Danilo, Dowell, Asgard and Raskin all scored. Danilo assisted all 3. You know a wee bit about the game. I can also tell you who was on the bench, which I can just bring up. Sorry, it's kind of dotted about in my messages, but the bench was Hutton, Fernandez, Jeffrey, Barron, Bairami, Rice, Cameron, Curtis, Cortez, Josh Gentles, and Liam Kelly. And it's my understanding that all of them got game time, minimum from 60, 70 minutes onward. So all of them got at least 20 minutes or so. Kenny, listen, it's a bounce game, glorified kickabout, glorified training game. It was nice of Dunfermline to be able to do that because they are currently playing their League Cup games and doing that. So they provided the opposition, much like Hamilton will towards the end of the week. You never know. Dunfermline might have been wanting to have a look at some of our youngsters that might become available on loan either. You sometimes find that happens and it's a like for like kind of thing. But a couple of good things for me. First of all, nice to win a game, which you have to start getting in the habit. And it's great that we scored some goals in doing that. Yes, it's Dunfermline. I understand that completely. But, you know, it signifies that players are getting fitter and they're starting to get there. Now, against Barnsley, Russell Martin said that the players would be absolutely knackered, but it was all about minutes. So you would think now, and he said it, didn't he, that preparation would start to come down a wee bit as they look more towards Panathinaikos and next Tuesday. Great to get the win, even though it's a training match, but nice to get the goals, and not a pick-me-up as such, but it has given me a boost somewhat, the level of goals and things, because we hadn't really done that so far. And it's nice to hear the reports. By all accounts, Thelo Asgard was excellent, and he played just off the left in a kind of left forward position, had multiple opportunities where he was getting into the box and getting forward and cutting in. And the people that have kind of told me about it were raving about his performance. So there was rumours as well that he went off injured. That's not true. He walked off the pitch himself, substituted as normal. So he's one that I've spoke about quite a bit. But all in all, seems to be positive.
The boy Thelo Asgard is the one that really does seem to be catching the eye from everywhere, doesn't he? Everybody seems to be sitting up and taking notice of this guy anytime they look at him. And listen, it is a bounce game. Yeah, you're right. However, it is nice to score a few goals. It is nice to get them back up the road, and for the double set sessions to stop, which Russell Martin had alluded to, hadn't he? The double sessions every single day, apart from the last day they were there down at St George's. And we are in a situation now where it is now all about preparing for the Panathinaikos game next Tuesday. It's only 6 days away. We've got one more game before that, I believe. And nice for Danilo more than anything else, because I was winding you up and said he'd missed a couple of chances from a yard against Barnsley at the weekend. But however, again, I'll look at that and say, if you're scoring and you're assisting 3 goals, you're obviously buying into the setup, buying into the kind of system that Russell Martin's trying to use, and settling in well. This is the only thing that I would say, in respect to the situation yesterday, that I noticed more than anything else was that Max Aarons was starting on the left-hand side, which I believe Yilmaz is slightly injured, and Yefty was, Yefty started on the bench. That kind of hints at, Yefty being more of a squad player and maybe got a lot to learn. And if we are being honest, Stevie, I'm not sure there's huge amount of us want to see Max Aarons on the right in the left hand side. We'd much rather see him on the right hand side, because we've talked about James Tavernier for years now, and it is just one of those things that kind of hints that that's the team that we're going to start next week, perhaps, dependent on signings and stuff like that. However, I don't think there'll be masses of us overly impressed if James Tavernier starts at right back when you've brought a Premier League right back in. But needs must at this minute in time, because you've said it yourself a few times, Stevie, that the team that starts against Panathinaikos might look very, very different come the end of this transfer window. So it is what it is at this minute in time. And to kind of caveat that, to use that old word, caveat, James Tavernier has actually, quite impressed me, in all the videos, and on last week when he came on against Bruges, he's done all right. So last season he didn't get a pre-season, and I think it showed because he had the injury, didn't he? And it showed for most of last season. So let's hope he's up to speed.
Well, I'll come at James Tavernier just in a second. This is an easier question, Stevie. How do you get a membership? When they're giving out for free, they'll be at the top of the chat, Fiona, so you just need to be fast and click on one. All the free ones are gone already. If you want to subscribe, you can go onto our YouTube page, and it starts from as little as 99p a month. You are supporting the channel. You get the odd occasional extra show, extra kind of discussion, live shows for members only and things. That's how you do it, Fiona. Hopefully that helps you. James Tavernier, we've done this to death. I don't think he should be a starter, but our left back position is becoming clearer. What is clear is that Ridvan Yilmaz looks to have no future at the football club, along with a number of others that we're starting to find out of being told that they can leave. I think that in the coming weeks, you're going to see that becoming clearer. And I think that leaves Jeffy. Now, the fact that Jeffy's not getting in when Ridvan isn't there tells you as well that the manager or the head coach, rather, Russell Martin, probably feels that we need strengthened in there. So he feels that James Tavernier at right and Max Aarons at left is strong enough or stronger than the options he's got, which is kind of damning for Ridvan. It's certainly damning for Jeffy, but Jeffy's a young lad. So he does that on his side. He does have that on his side. What I would say is I don't believe that we should be pushing players out of position. I think Max Aarons has played 9 times at left back. So it's not like it's a position he can play, but it's not like he's comfortable there. I would like to see a left back being brought in, but I'd also like to see Ridvan being handed and moved on. So that's somewhere to look from. I've commented on James Tavernier so much about him not starting and not being a first choice. We just need to really wait and see. A couple other things from Friday that have emerged. Obviously, yesterday's interview with Russell Martin, we sat down to different areas and different parts from when we could release. That's not our decision. That's up to Rangers, and that's Rangers giving you content. You may wonder why we did Asgard, Cameron, Fernandes, and Russell Martin, and we release it over 6 days. That's because that's the way Rangers want it to be. Russell Martin yesterday in that part of the interview talked Kenny about discipline. He kind of mentioned that the players would be out running, which we witnessed them doing. And the reason for that is there's been a lot of speculation. The reason for that is they made a mess and didn't pick up their empty bottles and everything else and towels and stuff like that in the gymnasium kind of training room. That's the exact reason. So for that, they were out running. And Russell Martin's point behind that was that that's a discipline thing. If we can't be disciplined off the pitch, we can't be disciplined on it. And it's all about the attitude and showing that. And I spoke a wee bit before and I wasn't able to mention this because obviously it was embargoed. But Russell Martin, as much as he's a really nice guy, really welcoming, there's definitely a stern side to him. I saw it in training. And this was an occasion where you kind of thought, all right, okay, that's fair enough. I don't have an issue with this. And to be fair to them, the players didn't have an issue with this. Russell and Gilly, the assistant, who's a really, really nice guy, really funny guy. He just spends the whole time taking the piss out of Russell Martin. So that's quite funny. But a really nice guy, Gilly. But again, I get the impression from both of them when it's needed, Kenny, it's you do get that sternness and you do get that kind of, not aggression, that's not the right word, but we're here to work, we're here to be disciplined. And I don't see that being an issue in the slightest.
No, and you can tell, we were at the press conference last week. I know you've done a couple with Russell Martin already, but I did the one last week with you. And even in that environment, you could tell there's a kind of hardness about him. Well, I can't remember who it was, but somebody asked a kind of silly question. And he was really quite, I wouldn't say he was curt, but he was really quite blunt and to the point about, well, I'm not going to answer that. That's just crazy. He didn't say it in that particular manner, but you know what I mean? You could see it in his whole demeanour. He was like, well, I'm not going to answer that. And I've noticed that a few times with his answers. He was very, very measured. And I like that a lot about him. He seems like, as you say, a really nice guy to sit and listen to and coming across really well. And well done to mate. Well done. But it's one of these things that I don't have an issue with that at all. I would imagine that most of the players wouldn't. If you've been told this is what you do and they've not done it, then to me that builds a camaraderie and a team spirit that even if one does it and they're all getting punished, it makes sure that your team, your teammates are looking after everybody. Everybody's looking after everybody else, and I think it's a kind of bonding thing. It's a discipline thing. He's absolutely right. If you're not going to be disciplined off the park, there's no way you're going to be disciplined on it. So I get that as well. And for me, it's just one of these things that I look at, and I'm really beginning to be very impressed with him. Now, that doesn't matter if he doesn't get results, because that's the bottom line for us, is the results are all that's going to matter. However, when you're building a team unit, when you're building that team spirit, and you're quite blunt about it and say, well, there are rules. And I know you kind of said this in the interview, there's not that many rules, but there is rules, and you'll abide by them. And if you don't, then the team, the squad will get some kind of form of punishment. That punishment was away you go and run a couple of miles, lads, and that's about the end of it. And as you say, the players weren't bothered; they just accepted that. And I get that. I just feel that it's everything he's doing at the minute. It just seems different from what we've been experiencing over the last 3 or 4 years, isn't it? That there's a proper professionalism about everything that he's doing that I'm really impressed by. Discipline is one of them, and yeah, go and get them running more if that's what they're going to do, because it's just instilling that discipline and that will to win and the will to do the right things.
Yeah, it's a definite setup, that's for sure. But I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be able to thrive in that. And one of the players that I'm interested in, and I want to see progress under Russell Martin, is Mohamed Diamande, and he's been linked with a return to Besiktas, or not a return to Besiktas. Seems like everybody was returning to Besiktas, but a move to Besiktas. Rangers are said to want anywhere between 12 and 15 million euros. What do I think about that? I really like Mohamed Diamande. He's not been consistent enough. I think that's fair. But the other guarantee is if Besiktas are interested in him, Kenny, the way they pursued Ridvan, that means he's almost guaranteed to still be here in 3 years' time. I'm not for selling Mohamed Diamande unless it's an extraordinary bid. I think he's got to get more consistent. I think he's got to get more better. But that was a link this morning online. I think it was Unar Kumar. He's a bit of a hit and a miss with his kind of speculation and links, but he's not a player that I want to see leave the football club.
No, neither do I. But listen, everybody's available at the right price. We all know that. Whether Besiktas are interested in that price, I very much doubt, because with all respect to them, they seem to be full of shit. And they do. They just seem full of absolute nonsense. But it's Turkish rumours, isn't it? So you don't know. But this rumour has been around for a few weeks that Besiktas are quite interested in Mo Diamande. Well, if they are, don't do what Lille did a couple of weeks ago and unsettle a player and then not bother bidding. Do your bidding. You'll know the price. I think that particular source said it was between 12 and 15 million. I've said already that I think when you've got a 24-year-old Ivory Coast international, it's done very, very well in Europe for us. Little bit hit and miss or inconsistent domestically. However, I do feel that, and we're going to come to this about our midfield last season. I do feel that Nico Raskin and Mo Diamande were having to do stupid amounts of work last season, and I think you could tell that there was a huge frustration in certain aspects of what he was being asked to do or being made to do. Whereas I think if it's a more defined role that he has, I think you'll see the absolute best of Mo Diamande. We've seen it last Sunday against Bruges when he came on. He made a massive difference almost immediately, took his goal very, very well. And I would expect somebody like Mo Diamande to kick on for us this season under Russell Martin. I think that this style of football will suit him very well. I think we talked about it in the vlog last week, that I think that this system could really suit him. So if anybody does want him, then I've said this already, that we've been giving our players away for far too cheap for far too many years. and I would like us to be looking at 15. Don't come to us unless it's 15 million. I know some folk will say that's quite unrealistic. I don't actually believe it is. I think this boy's capable of playing at a higher level than Scottish football. So you're buying huge amounts of potential, and you're buying an international player who's proven, when I say Europe, at least in Europa League level. So, I mean, Bluebells is saying he'd be anything over 8. I actually think that's just letting him away far too cheap. I really do. Bluebells, I would be looking at, as I say, £12 million, 50 million euros. That kind of price is kind of right for me.
Yeah, I don't know, anywhere over kind of 12 million, I think I would start to think about doing the deal. But it does bring us on nicely to Russell Martin's comments on Nico Raskin. Wants to get more out of him, but in order to get more out of him, he wants him to be doing less. I was interested in this because Joe Rothwell has played as number 6 in every game that he's played so far. Barnsley. He trained when we saw him live in that 6th position. He played yesterday in the 6th position. On both sides of that, where Diamande and Raskin yesterday, Dowell was right and Asgard was left, but they played inside and cutting in. The goals came off Danilo back to goal, feeding it in. Diamande to Danilo, and then he played it through for Asgard for his goal. And that to me is interesting. And I wonder if Nico Raskin is being taken away from the 6th position, because as I've spoken about this before, I think Barry done a really good job with Nico in terms of him going forward and him becoming a real threat, which he was. He seems to be one of these guys that opposition teams just don't pick up, and especially from set pieces, they just don't consider him a threat. And you've seen it at Parkhead; he's really quite capable. Does that kind of tell us, he wants more out of him, but he wants him to wait for the ball instead of playing? That tells me that he's going to be one of the 8s that kind of bomb forward from those positions. And if you think about it, Diamande, Raskin, Asgard, Cameron, Bayrami, that's a strong competition for those places. Rothwell will sit. Most likely Bailey Rice will kind of shadow him behind him. Raskin could drop in there, I suppose, if there's issues. But I think it tells us a lot about where he sees Nico Raskin.
It does. It's a number 8. It's a roaming number 8 that he sees him as, I think. When he says do less to get more, I think it's more don't cover every blade of grass type comment. It's more stay in your position, stick to it, and do the job and the role that you're being asked to do. Where, as I said, I felt particularly under Philip Clement. If you think back to this time last year, Stevie, you went down to Birmingham, and the gaps in our midfield that just persisted all season until Clement left. That shows you the amount of space that they're having to cover, the amount of the pitch that they're having, the two of them are having to cover. And it was just one pass would just split right through us. And I think that has been again by Russell Martin here. Barry identified it as well, to be fair, but I think it's been identified that we need a more compact system in the middle of the pitch. And what you've said is absolutely right. I would actually think that Asgard and Raskin will be his first pick number 8s. That's where perhaps Mo Diamande will have a situation. Nadim Bayrami will have a situation where we've got plenty of options there. The only thing I would say is that I don't know if I'm going to ask you a question, actually. I don't know exactly what Russell Martin's feeling about Bailey Rice as, his second choice number 6. I don't know if that's kind of nailed on now, that he feels that young Bailey's going to be that boy that's going to learn off of Joe Rothwell, or if he's considering even bringing somebody else in if we can get a couple of these midfielders out the door.
I think everyone's kind of fluent with Bailey Rice. I think, first of all, you need to get him tied down on a new deal because it runs out summer. And then after that, you need to maybe wait and see where we are at the end of the window and then go from there. Could he go on loan interestingly, I think he might go on loan towards the end of the window. So I think there's so much. I looked at the team yesterday. It was really interesting because I've taken a note of it as well, of all the players that didn't play yesterday and weren't in that bounce game squad. Ridvan, Fraser, Inciala, King, Sterling, obviously injured, Ben Davies, Robin Proper, Paul Ncio, Cifuentes, Matondo, McCausland, Dessers, and Eagleman. If you put that onto that team in the bench, Rangers have got a squad at the moment that's 35 strong. So there's a lot of work to be done. Dessers and Hamza Eagleman are not training at the moment in full training. We know that. I've seen that with my own eyes. They have been kind of doing a lot of running, a lot of fitness, and then joining in afterwards. So it's going to be interesting to see what we do with our squad, because there's a lot of players, Kenny, in that list. There's a lot of players there. 10 could leave tomorrow and you wouldn't miss them. So it's going to be, there's a lot of work to be done. And that's my point being. So Bailey Rice is one of those ones. He is a homegrown player and a club-grown player as well, which adds a wee bit of interest to it. But let's move on. Before we finish, I want to talk about ongoing things a wee bit. We know Robin Proper's situation. We're waiting for that we're waiting for an announcement, aren't we? That's basically where we are with it. We're waiting for an announcement on that one. And then basically we're being linked. Now the Connor Cody thing continues to rumble on. We know Rangers are keen. We know Rangers are interested. That's not something that's going away. There was rumours yesterday that he had asked not to go on the club tour of Austria, I think it was, and that he wants to come to Rangers. So that's interesting for me. And they're also linked with Volendam centre-back Xavier Mubiamba, who's ex-Barcelona and Chelsea. 23 years old, 6'5", has a heart condition, but he got a fix for that, a stent, I think you call it. Suggestions at price as low as $500,000. He played almost all of last year. We're still being linked with centre-backs. John Souttar, rumoured to be Trabzonspor as well. Still more to be done, Kenny. This is going to one that probably goes right up until the wire of the transfer window.
The Connor Cody thing is very interesting because Connor Cody is that high profile that wouldn't have got out unless he wanted that to get out. I would have thought that he is making that kind of public that he wants to join Rangers now. I know they've had a situation where I don't even know if the manager's been announced yet. I know they've agreed to. The guy's name's Cifuentes, I believe. Never heard of him actually, but I don't know if they've appointed him yet or he's just about to be appointed the new manager. But he's went out of his way to ask him to not to be included in the travelling party going to Austria for their training camp, and that to me is a surefire sign that he's kind of frustrated now. That I was wondering. I've sat here and discussed it with my son about the Connor Cody thing, and he actually said that he reckoned it might be that Connor Cody's been looking for 3 years. Rangers are only offering 2. That kind of thing, where it's been a negotiation situation where Rangers have said, well, we can't push that boat out too far or whatever. It doesn't appear to be the case, does it? It actually looks like there's been a hold up in Leicester's End, and that Russell Martin really does want to get Connor Cody in. We've discussed this at length before, but I genuinely do feel that somebody like Connor Cody in there with that experience, that proper experience at the very, very highest level would make a massive, massive difference to our back four. I really do. I just think that organisational skill that he has, and he's not short of ability either. He's a cracking football player. He can bring it forward. He's defensively, that's what he is. He's a centre half that likes to defend first and foremost, which I think we are also crying out for. So, in that sense, this might go all the way. I don't know what the time the deadline is tomorrow, but I've got a funny feeling that you might find that Connor Cody is going to try and push that through one way or another. Whether that can happen, we genuinely don't know, Stevie. You know yourself, we don't know exactly how that's going to pan out. but it is abundantly clear that Connor Cody wants this move, because, as I say, I genuinely don't believe for a minute that would have came out unless he really wanted that to be known.
Yeah, we can still make 2 changes up until the night before the Panathinaikos game. Deadline tomorrow. Barry says it's 11 p.m. I'll go with that. I'm not entirely sure of the time, but we can still make 2 additional changes up to that. Let's look at Muyamba just a wee bit. And this is kind of striking for me because it gives you a clear identity that we're going for. 33 appearances last season, 5 goals, 1 assist. He's 6'5", 3,135 minutes played, 87.8% pass accuracy, 50% long ball accuracy, 8.44 passes to the final third per 90, 10.51 progressive passes per 90. This is a boy that's good with the ball at his feet. Stats tell you that immediately. That's what we need, ball playing centre backs. 9.96 successful defensive actions per 90. Thank you to Kai, by the way, who messaged me just to say, Stevie, DA means defensive actions. So I appreciate that. He knows that I'm challenged with stats, so to speak. 70.45 defensive duels won, 60.91 aerial duels, and 5.3 interceptions per 90. Thanks as always to Kai Watson. Please go and give him a follow. He's just shy of 10,000 followers on social media, on X and thing. It's Kai, capital G, capital W, Watson. Go and give Kai a shout. As I said, he lets us use his stats. He actually sends them over. A very good lad, which we really appreciate. I appreciate because I've got no idea about these things. But he's a ball-playing centre-back. He's big in stature, similar to Giga, similar to kind of Fernandez. So it's going to be interesting to see if there is a link to that, considering everything else. And if there is, I think you would be, if you get another centre-back in and another winger, the 9 position and the goalkeeping position needs to unravel itself in that. I think in order for people to come in, they might need people to leave in those positions. Similarly, probably to Yilmaz at left back. But all of a sudden, that kind of jigsaw that I spoke about weeks and weeks ago is beginning to look quite solid. 1 more centre-back and 1 more winger, and I think we're there and thereabouts. This lad seems okay. I don't know massive amounts about him. Obviously, he's got a good pedigree at Chelsea and Barcelona. His stats are fairly good for what we're looking for. But I suppose, like everything else, Kenny, we just need to wait and see.
We do. Interesting that rumour came out, and then a few hours later, the Connor Cody rumour came out. You could put 2 and 2 together and make 6 or 5 or whatever, but I wonder if Connor Cody had seen that and thought, they're going to look elsewhere, and I don't want that to happen. No idea. It's just me guessing. Or it could be that we're still in the market for 2, because when you consider Enciala, Leon King, Robin Proper, the rumour of John Suter, all, if they were all to go, we'd probably need another 2. So in that sense, it's exciting because, again, I'm not a stat guy. I'm a bit like yourself. I don't really, I'm a bit thick when it comes to them. I don't really understand them. I try my best. However, those stats, I just see the black and white of the stat, if you like, and those numbers are brilliant. I mean, they really are. It's the deciphering them all that I have an issue with. And that's what I'm trying to say, that you don't get a grounding like that, as I say. You don't go to Barcelona and then get a move to Chelsea without having something about you. And the heart issue, it's a common thing these days, isn't it? It's much more common than it used to be. What it is, I don't know. But if he's fit to play football, there is no issue there whatsoever. He's been given every all clear, so that doesn't concern me in the slightest. It's a reminiscent of the situation. I don't think it's as bad either, but the situation that Conor Golson had when he was younger, when he was at Brighton. So no issue with that. But there is a pattern emerging there. He is 6'5", and every single one of our centre halves, it's going to be funny watching you interview them, mate, because you're going to get a wee soapbox.
Stevie on his soapbox, what would be new? Just before we end, I'm going to bring up what is a scandalous accusation by Keldo that I'm not allowed on tall adult rides at Alton Towers. That's age when we were out in Universal Studio last year, including the Ripsaw. So go and Google that, young man, and you'll see. But as long as we've got a note from our parents, me and Ridvan are absolutely fine to go on the big ride. So that's enough of that from you, Kelso son. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. We are back Friday night for a live show. Friday, I think we'll go at 7. Could be 8. It just depends on. We like to make sure we're not crossing over on Club 22 as well. So probably 7, and then the boys will go at 8 over there, which is great. We're going to cross over with them soon as well. So I need to check in with Scotty and find out when we're doing that. Thanks to everybody that has joined our YouTube membership and all our existing members. As I said, there's around 500 members there. It's such a good community, and we really appreciate all the support. To our sponsors as well, Rhino Express, Clydeview Industrial Joiners, Clydeview Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, and our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. For members, need to talk about this. For members, there's a competition going up soon. You can wear a signed glove, which was gifted to us by one of our members, of the very late and brilliant Andy Gorham signed glove. I actually can just show you them. That is from Andy. So you can win that, and also a championship win, 55 jersey, which is still in the wrapper and everything else. So we're going to put them up soon. Also, what else can you get? There'll be some new shows going up for First and Favourites, and also it's back with Coaching Corner. And he's going to change that slightly up. He's doing a book review corner as well, where he speaks to authors that have written a lot of Rangers books and things like that as well. So they'll be interesting. It's just different kind of ideas. We'll be back with a discussion show at the weekend as well. So there's plenty to keep us busy. If you haven't yet, please make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. We're just past 8,750 members. So it's an unbelievable amount of subs we have, and really, really appreciate that. So please, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. It's free and really, really, really helps us grow. So we appreciate all that. And that's it, really. Have a great Wednesday. We don't plan on being back on. However, we would love it if there's breaking news, Kenny, at some point today, tomorrow, and we'll be back for that. But thank you for joining me, my friend, as usual.
No, thoroughly enjoyed that, mate. Thank you. And go and enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to go and finish off my wee massive man curry. Finish making that.
Thank you, everyone that's joined us, commented, seen them all, really love the engagement, and appreciate everybody watching, subbing, taking out a membership and supporting us. 3,500 people watching us live on a Wednesday afternoon talking about Rangers. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Catch us on the live show on Friday. Until then, unless there's breaking news, we'll see you all again soon.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athlon Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.